Step 1: Financial Reality Lessons. Not just about money, they are about how real life behaves when resources are limited and every decision has weight. When someone experiences financial pressure, even temporarily, it forces a shift in awareness, priorities, and behavior that many people never develop until much later in life. Below is a deeper explanation and justification of each point. 1. Money disappears faster than expected. One of the biggest financial shocks is realizing that money is not stable in daily life. It moves quickly. Even small expenses like food, transportation, data load, or emergency needs accumulate silently. This teaches a hard truth. Income is not the same as financial control. People often assume that having money means being secure. In reality, without structure, money behaves like a flowing resource, not a stored asset. This is why many individuals earning decent income still feel broke. 2. Budgeting matters even with small income. Budgeting is often misunderstood as something only rich or organized people do. But in reality, budgeting becomes more important when income is small. It creates awareness of where every peso goes and prevents emotional or impulsive spending. Without budgeting, people rely on guesswork. And guesswork in finance leads to leakage, money spent without tracking or intention. Budgeting is not restriction, it is control and direction. 3. Needs versus wants becomes clearer under pressure. Financial struggle forces clarity between survival and desire. Needs equals food, shelter, transport, essential bills. Wants equals comfort, entertainment, lifestyle upgrades. When money is abundant, these lines blur, but when money is limited, priorities become obvious. This distinction is one of the most important financial lessons because it shapes long-term spending habits. 4. Emergency funds are not optional. Many people ignore emergency savings until something unexpected happens: medical issues, job loss, family emergencies. Life is unpredictable, but expenses are predictable in frequency, not timing. An emergency fund acts as a buffer between stability and crisis. Without it, even small problems become financial collapse. 5. One wrong decision can reset everything. A single bad financial decision, overspending, debt, risky investment, or ignoring obligations can erase months or years of progress. Money builds slowly but can be lost quickly. This imbalance teaches caution. It also highlights why financial discipline is more important than financial opportunity for most people. Bigger meaning behind financial reality lessons. The deeper truth is this: financial struggle is not just about lacking money, it is about learning consequences in real time. It develops awareness of value, respect for resources, patience in growth, responsibility in decision-making. Step 2: Mindset and emotional growth. Mindset and emotional growth are not just motivational phrases, they describe how a person changes internally when life forces them into situations that require adaptation, resilience, and self-awareness. Especially when someone goes through financial struggle, rejection, stress, or uncertainty, these experiences don't just affect circumstances, they reshape identity, thinking patterns, and emotional control. 1. Being broke or struggling tests your mental framework, not just your wallet. When resources are limited, your mind is forced to confront reality more directly. You can no longer rely on comfort, convenience, or impulse decisions. Instead, every choice becomes more intentional. This is where mindset shifts happen. You start thinking in terms of survival versus sustainability. You begin to evaluate decisions based on long-term consequences. You learn to delay gratification because instant comfort often has a cost. Justification: financial struggle removes buffer zones in life. Without excess money, mistakes become more visible and harder to ignore. This forces awareness, whether a person likes it or not. 2. Emotional pressure reveals your default thinking patterns. Under stress, people don't become someone new, they reveal who they already are internally. For example, do you panic or plan? Do you blame external factors or assess your decisions? Do you shut down emotionally or stay functional? Justification. Emotional growth happens when you repeatedly observe your reactions and realize, this is how I respond when I feel unsafe or uncertain. That awareness is the first step to change. Without pressure, these patterns stay hidden. 3. Humility is often developed through limitation. When life becomes harder, ego naturally gets challenged. Things like status, pride, and image become less important compared to practical needs like food, rent, or stability. This leads to reduced entitlement thinking, increased gratitude for small wins, more openness to learning and correction. Humility is not just a moral trait, it's a psychological adjustment when reality proves that you don't control everything. Struggle forces recalibration of expectations. 4. Emotional discipline develops through repeated discomfort. Emotional growth is not about feeling positive, it's about learning to stay stable even when you don't feel okay. You develop patience when results are slow, control when anxiety appears, stability when uncertainty is present. The brain learns through repetition when you repeatedly face discomfort without escaping or self-destructing. You build emotional tolerance. This is similar to muscle training, but for the nervous system. Step 3. Discipline and habits. Discipline and habits are the invisible systems that shape almost every outcome in a person's life. While motivation is often loud and emotional, discipline is quiet and consistent. Habits, on the other hand, are the automatic behaviors built through repetition. Together, they form the foundation of personal growth, financial stability, emotional control, and long-term success. 1. Discipline. Doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. Discipline is not about punishment or strict rules. It is about self-leadership. It means choosing long-term benefit over short-term comfort. For example, waking up early even when you feel tired. Continuing to work even when you feel unmotivated. Saving money instead of impulsive spending, studying or improving skills instead of wasting time. Without discipline, plans stay as ideas, dreams stay as imagination, potential remains unused. With discipline, small actions compound into big results. Confidence grows through consistency. You become reliable to yourself. 2. Habits, the automatic version of your daily life. Habits are behaviors you no longer need to think about. They are built through repetition until they become automatic. Examples: brushing teeth every morning, checking your phone immediately after waking up, studying at a fixed time daily, exercising regularly. The human brain is designed to conserve energy. It automates repeated actions to reduce mental effort. If your habits are good, you progress without forcing yourself daily. You save mental energy for important decisions. You grow even when motivation is low. If your habits are bad, you self-sabotage automatically. You repeat mistakes unconsciously. You struggle to change even if you want to. 3. The connection between discipline and habits. Discipline is what creates habits, and habits are what sustain discipline. At first, discipline is required, forcing yourself to act. Over time, the action becomes habit, automatic behavior. Eventually, you no longer struggle with it, it becomes part of your identity. At first, you force yourself to save money. Later, saving becomes automatic. Eventually, you identify as someone who is financially responsible. 4. Why discipline and habits matter more than motivation. Motivation is unstable. It depends on mood, environment, and energy. It comes and goes. Discipline and habits are stable systems. They work even when you are tired. They continue even when you are emotionally low. They keep you moving when inspiration disappears. Most successful people are not always motivated, they are structured. Their systems carry them when emotions fail. 5. The compound effect of small habits. Small habits seem insignificant in the moment, but over time they compound. Identity is stronger than motivation. When behavior becomes identity, consistency becomes natural instead of forced. Step for people and relationships. People and relationships are at the core of human life. Whether it's family, friends, romantic partners, co-workers, or even casual social interactions. Relationships shape identity, behavior, and long-term direction in life. 1. Humans are naturally relational beings. Psychologically and biologically, humans are not designed to function in isolation from childhood. Survival depends on connection, care, protection, and emotional bonding. As we grow older, this need doesn't disappear, it just becomes more complex. We don't just need people physically present, we need emotional understanding, validation and recognition, a sense of belonging, mutual support during stress. This is why even successful individuals can feel empty if their relationships are unstable or shallow. Money, achievements, and status cannot fully replace genuine connection. Relationships are not optional in human development, they are structural. A person's emotional stability often reflects the quality of their relationships more than external achievements. 2. Relationships shape identity and mindset. The people you spend time with influence how you think, how you speak, and even how you see your own future. This happens slowly, often without noticing. For example, supportive relationships encourage confidence and growth. Toxic or manipulative relationships create self-doubt and anxiety. Ambitious environments raise your standards. Negative environments normalize limitation and fear. Over time, relationships act like mental conditioning. They shape what you believe is possible and what you accept as normal. 3. Emotional balance depends heavily on relationships. Emotions are not purely internal, they are influenced by interaction. A person may feel fine alone, but one conflict, rejection, or misunderstanding can shift their emotional state dramatically. Healthy relationships provide emotional safety, you can be yourself, stability during stress, perspective during confusion, support during failure. 4. Relationships require responsibility, not just emotion. 5. Not all relationships are meant to last forever. One of the hardest but most important truths is that relationships are not always permanent. People change, priorities shift, and life directions diverge. Some relationships are seasonal, temporary support, or lesson-based. Situational, work, school, environment-based. Long-term, family, deep friendships, committed partnerships. 6. The quality of relationships matters more than quantity. What matters more is trust, depth of understanding, emotional safety, mutual growth. A few strong, healthy relationships often provide more stability than many weak ones. Human emotional needs are not numerical, they are qualitative. Depth creates security, quantity without depth creates exhaustion. Final step: growth and comeback perspective. A growth and comeback perspective is the mindset of treating setbacks not as final outcomes, but as temporary phases that can be transformed into stronger foundations for future success. It's the ability to interpret failure, delay, loss, or disappointment as information, not identity. At its core, this perspective is built on one idea: your current situation is not your final form. 1. Growth perspective, seeing life as a process, not a status. A growth perspective means understanding that skills, opportunities, emotional strength, and even discipline are developed over time. Instead of thinking, "I'm not good at this," you shift to, "I'm not good at this yet, but I can improve." Instead of, "I failed, so I'm not capable," you shift to, "I failed, so I now know what doesn't work." Why this matters? People often limit themselves not because they lack ability, but because they freeze their identity at one moment in time. Growth mindset breaks that illusion, it keeps you moving. When applied consistently, it creates better resilience under pressure, faster learning from mistakes, reduced fear of starting over, long-term skill accumulation instead of short-term emotional reactions. Growth perspective is what allows someone to start small, stay consistent, and gradually become competent without needing instant validation. 2. Comeback perspective, turning setbacks into momentum. While growth mindset focuses on learning, comeback perspective focuses on rebuilding after breakdowns. Life doesn't move in a straight line. There are phases of loss of opportunities, financial stress, emotional burnout, rejection or failure, unexpected delays. A comeback perspective reframes these as temporary resets, not permanent endings. Instead of, "Everything is ruined," you shift to, This is a reset point, not the end of the story. Why this matters? Most people don't fail because of the setback itself, they fail because they mentally accept defeat early. A comeback mindset creates emotional endurance during low phases, strategic thinking instead of panic decisions, the ability to rebuild smarter, not just restart blindly, a stronger identity built from experience, not comfort. In many cases, the comeback version of a person is better than their original version because it includes awareness, discipline, and lessons learned from failure. 3. The psychological justification behind it. Human behavior is strongly influenced by interpretation. Two people can experience the same situation. One sees it as defeat, gives up. One sees it as feedback, adjusts, and continues. The event is the same, but the outcome is different because of mindset. This is why perspective is more powerful than circumstance. Neuroscience also supports this idea. Repeated thoughts create neural pathways. If you repeatedly think in terms of failure and limitation, your brain strengthens avoidance behavior.